Hello and welcome. There's four of us. It's your Plastic Crack Podcast, episode 6 of season 6, and we're going to be chatting a little bit about fantasy because we've done 4 very historical heavy episodes. So we're gonna go weird for this one. Oh yeah, we're going weird as if we're the height of sanity at the best of times. But yes, anyway, first of all, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for watching if you're watching on the catch up. And of course, remember that we are sponsored by the lovely people over at Boards and Swords, where you want to go and pre-order your Guards of Traitor's Toll, or buy your fantasy games, your historical games, and buy any game. In fact, hop over there, put in PCP5, get 5% off your order, add it to the discount they were already doing, and you've got yourself a nice little deal there. How are we doing, chaps? Everybody all right?
Yeah.
Tickety-boo. All good. Yeah, very good indeed. You?
Yeah, I think so. I'm I kind of feel like I'm halfway through a lot of things at the minute, and I kind of want to get one thing done, and I don't know where to start.
It does seem a very long year already, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
It just feels
a bit.
Yeah. I've had to work. It's terrible. Not
terrible. Is that getting in the way of your painting, Dom?
It bloody has. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd put a complaint in about that. I'd speak to HR straight away.
I think I will stay. I think I will.
Oh, Steve, I watched Alien Romulus.
Oh, what do you think?
I got to 20 minutes and I hadn't actually had anything to drink, but I passed out. So I think my brain shut me down.
Oh,
yeah.
I have no words. Absolutely. Well, I do, but I can't repeat any of them.
So that's low fantasy then.
What?
Alien?
Well, yeah, Predator would be as well.
Hey? Yeah, but there's science fiction.
Yeah, but still,
I'm confused.
We've already been having a
but is there a difference between low science fiction and high science fiction? Or is it just science fiction?
Basically, before the stream, right? So when I was putting together the title for this, and I said fantasy low, high, or with whimsy. In my brain, I was thinking of my definitions of what low fantasy are and high fantasy are, and what I generally think most of the most people that I speak to is. But for chatting to some people through the week, and then actually looking at the literary definitions of what they are, they are very, very different. So what we're going to do is go with what we feel it is rather than what it is, because there's only like one game that it would be the actual literal definition of it. But so we're just going to chat about fantasy and the games and why we enjoy them, and why, for example, do some people like playing fantasy games that are really, really close to the real world. In fact, so close you might as well play a historical game, but you want to do it as a fantasy game in another world. Or if you go completely the other direction, that you're gonna, go for the complete whimsical, put full plate on a badger and have at it. Or are you just like you're grim and you're dark?
I could get us demonetized putting full plate on the badger.
Before we start, let's see who has joined us tonight. So Paul is here from a Mercia where the wind blows as the litter and the rain flows. Points if anyone gets a reference. More secret he's on his secret project.
Oh yes.
What it is. Hippo's hobby hours. He's keeping an eye on the rising water levels here in Belgium. Weeks of a perpetual downpour. Looking forward to the stream. A nice Abbey beer and a bunch of animals ready to paint up for our upcoming Congo game.
That's very cool.
I do enjoy an Abbey beer. We've got the Belgian beer bar down the road from us that I do enjoy. Pat Neal, evening from a rainy, miserable southeast London. General, most of the times I've visited southeast London, that's what it's like. Don, he hopes everyone is well. He's going to just listen tonight as he actually has to work.
Oh, Don, I feel your pain, mate.
Had to happen sometime. Bitty, hello. Greetings from Poland. Hello. -1 degree here. And he's on Lord Hopton's foot regiment. Good choice.
Good choice. Yeah.
Rich M's here. Nick Dawson. Is it from a pissing down Bury St? Is it raining? Hang on.
Stick your head out the window.
Lines down. Alid, how you doing, dude? Lionheart, lovely painting, walkout games. Carl Burks, evening all, is still ringing tonight after seeing Papa Roach and Wage War on Saturday night. God, I haven't seen Papa Roach in years.
Oh my! I think I own their first album.
We I took them to see the Taste of Chaos tour where it was them, Disturbed, and Buck Cherry. So Haley. We saw him at Wembley and blagged our way backstage. And we're walking backstage at Wembley, and Haley was walking around going, "Take That Have Been Here," which was and then I remember we were obviously just drinking cups of tea and chatting to Metallica's PR person, which was a really strange, surreal evening for me. Haley passed out on a pile of coats in the all the stage gear in the corner. It was a lot of people backstage. Grant, how you doing? Digger Down Under, you're right. Nick Games, Steve Harbour, Red Steph, Mobile and Hostile, Mike Schubert, Carizette, Trevor Hodgkins, Wargaming History, East Norfolk's, Andrew JF, Shocked Scenics. Graham's here. Graham's Wargame Vault. I don't know if you're going to enjoy some of my opinions, Graham, on this.
Prepared to get angry.
Mark Riding, you're right. Barnes White, John Sarbury, Cardboard Fortress, Robin, Mini Agnostic, Mine Hoey, Andrew King, Bill Dutton, Mark Soberry, Mugsy Makes. You're right, James. How you doing? I did like your Trollope and your Somerset. Dave Benton's here. No painting tonight is Wainsing Scenery. Reese Humphreys, Old School. MB, Sam Bennett, Double Dip. I was looking at that. Nathan McGowan, Shakos and Sprues. He's working on some great Northern War and War of Spanish Session Danish. Oh, good man, good man. Are you going to do the regiment I sent you with all the purple facings and trim and pink trim?
I blame Martin.
Alex is here. Storm Steel, how you doing? Robin Rose Holden, Sam Rushmere, David Few, David Kerr, Andy Stocker, and it's going to do Real Stee. It's the French Ultramarines all over again. Absolutely. Yeah, it is going to be your favourite subject, Alex. Absolutely. Paul Ayres, Ferby Viking. If I said Furby Viking, the
Furby Viking. Wow.
Grada Prigo, Friends of General Haig, and there we go. It's done something. And the next one I see down here is The Purple Has to Happen. Buck Cherry and Disturb Rock. If you say so. I remember Disturbed. I used to really like Disturbed, and then I met David Draymond, and he was the most miserable people I've ever met. It's just so unenthusiastic. Still has very cool piercing, so. Yeah. Anyway, how are we all doing? Is everybody all right on this lovely Monday? Ken, you been all right?
Yeah, all right, thank you.
Yeah. What you been up to much? Miniature wise?
Yeah, I've painted. Sorry, paintbrush in my mouth. Yeah, I've painted Gimli, which I've been trying to do for a while. I've not based him yet, so that's why there's no picture. But I have painted him, and he is varnished.
Oh.
Ooh. Do you varnish before you base?
Yes.
Oh dear.
Because I paint on my varnish. Brush it on. I don't spray it.
Hang on a minute. You've gone from like a no varnishing Philistine to a brush on varnish convert.
Only with metal. Not with plastic, but metal. Yeah.
Metal.
Yeah.
Metal.
Yeah, metal.
Yeah,
that's what I've been up to. I was just painting Gimli, to be fair. I'm painting Aragon at the moment, and that's my fellowship.
Are these? Is this the original fellowship models?
The original ones, yeah. I've retouched up. So I originally did Gandalf in contrast, but I've base layer painted him in normal paints. Just want to highlight
Yeah.
him. He's a character and stuff like that. Just spend a bit more time on him. But he's the last one I've got to do after Aragon. I finished Aragon, so yeah, happy days. I'm enjoying
All
it.
right.
To be fair.
Cool. Excellent. Steve, what have you been up to? Have you been brush varnishing all your models?
No.
You know he's an airbrush man for varnish.
Absolute madness. No, I've actually been painting stuff. I've been really slow again because I mentioned last week I've started to play Sniper Elite Resistance, and yeah, I can't stop playing. It's really good. Normally, I'm really crap at stealth games, but I'm quite good at Sniper Elite. I say it's good blowing bits off people. It's great fun. So I started work on my latest bolt action project. So I was kit bashing them last week, and I finished. This is a rifle platoon commander. There we go.
Oh, nice. Well, that's cool.
Oh, I like that.
Very nice
yeah.
base. Really.
So
like
what I've done is I've nicked an idea from Travis. I noticed that on his latest videos when he's been doing this, working on this German veteran box, he's based all his platoon commanders on bigger bases, multi-based them. I thought it looked really good. I do love me a bit of multi-basing after what I've done with the Midgard stuff. So yeah, I'm putting all my platoon commanders on bases like that. And they were great fun. It was weird painting German field grey again. I can't remember the last time I painted German field grey.
Could you remember the colours?
It's been a while. It has been a while. But what those figures there, they're made up from, I think it's 5 bolt action plastic kits. Because, well, I just wanted to put some weird kit bashing together. So the actual platoon commander in the middle of the lieutenant, his arms, one's from the Deutsche Afrika Corps box, and the other one is from the French bolt action. It would be, yes, it would be a very messy end for them, but rule of cool and all that. But they were great fun. They were great fun to paint. And I mentioned, I put a group in the, I posted a group the other week that I've started using glasses, what they call like a painting magnifier type thing.
Oh yes, yeah.
Because I noticed that I was after painting for a little while, I was getting sore eyes, I was getting headaches, and it was really put me off painting. So I was a bit dubious, but I started painting them, and you know what? They're an absolute godsend. The only problem is you've got to accept that your miniatures are going to look like crap when you look through them, because it picks up it magnifies it so much they look dog up, like just really bad.
Is this like when we take a photo of them and then you're doing that bit where you zoom in, you're like, oh no.
Yeah, exactly like that. Yeah. But they've been an absolute godsend. I've having sore eyes and after painting for half an hour was really annoying me. I didn't want to paint. I was like, this is really hacking me off. So yeah, picked up these visor things. Absolutely brilliant. I would highly recommend it. Really great piece of.
Is that the ones the kind of are they the ones that are a bit top heavy or sort of? Because I had a set of those, and every time I leant forward, it fall over and knock the paint over.
Oh no, these just you just wear them like glasses. It's quite a light piece. Oh, and cool. you get 6 different like magnification things you just slot in. It's got a light on the front as well. They're really good.
Are we all going to get them? We will sit here, all 4 of us.
Yeah.
I've got some old ones. They're not made for painting. They're watchmaker ones.
Yeah, these are advertised as like for jewelry repair, watch repair, miniature painting. I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting much. I thought, because I only paid 17 quid for them, so they're not exactly breaking the bank. But I was absolutely blown away by how good they are, and it's made me really enjoy my painting again because I'm not feeling ill afterwards.
That's a good thing.
It's a bonus. Yeah,
it's always a good thing. So I'm back on the Germans tonight, more kit bashing. I'm doing it's called a Spar Truppen. It's one of the new units from the Armies of Germany book. It's a 4-man scout squad.
What's going on with with bolt action? Because hasn't there been a load of whinging about stuff changing and then an errata and then the errata being wrong and then the errata being errated and something else being changed in with how many months in? 4?
Well, yeah, I think an errata came out today. I've not had a chance to look through it yet, but
right. But is it actually is it like an actual problem, or is it just the community being a bit sort of entitled?
Probably a bit of A, bit of B, mostly B, probably. No, I mean it has to be done, but it just annoys me.
It does seem weird to get an errata within 4 months.
Yes, that's slightly odd.
I'm not gonna.
You've
I'm
not
gonna
bought
lie.
a codex from GW before, have you?
No, you never. And I was going to say, you get a new codex within 4 fucking months, let alone a new right.
But yes, that's what I'm working on. I'm building this new unit. It's just Spar Troop, and it's like say 4-man scouts. It's an easy way of just abusing the rifle the platoon building system, because this takes up a slot in the
People broke a badly written rule. Now they're crying that you can't use indirect artillery at point blank range.
Oh, for
All right, okay. Beautifully summarised by Robin, our reporter in the field.
Our bolt action correspondent. There. That's ridiculous. That really is.
What rule?
Indirect fire, by the sound of it.
Oh, okay. Rules are there to be broken, now, aren't they?
We are for a competition gamer.
Well, we are talking about fantasy tonight. So.
Steady.
He's off and running. He'll have a dig at line rampant in a minute. You wait.
Yeah.
Well, no, because then you've got dragon rampant. Although, like, the two are interchangeable as far as no. No, it's quite fun. Actually, I played dragon rampant and quite enjoyed it. The game I played of that. I don't know why.
Wow.
Let's say I like Xenos rampant. It's just line rampant. I don't enjoy.
If it's historically accurate, you don't care about it. They're like you can be accurate about it. That makes sense with the rule set. So
the other day,
some real units.
Well,
yeah. Lost D. Oh, there you go.
Lost D. He's
man down.
I can't tell if he's just confused and inquisitive. There we go. David says he feels the bolt action correspondent should become a permanent post after that superb summary. We might have to. Maybe we'll have to scatter a few correspondents throughout the interwebs, and we'll cut over to them in the news section. I wonder. Maybe we could even get some little reports. That could be a laugh.
Live reports.
Yeah.
I'm here outside games. I'll get you.
Yeah, we can. Well, no, yeah, you can go to Robert this week in rules. Go to Ken this week in skirmish. You know, as in Ken Riley, not
Ken
Ken
Riley, obviously.
Dom, what you been up to, dude?
Oh, hang on. I have been relatively busy.
Brace yourself.
Incoming. Hang on, I'm just trying to put a horse together. Why is that not fitting together? Why is that? I hate assembling things.
Just keep. Oh, quick name and shame. Which kit is it?
It's a gripping beast, light Arab horse.
Oh, but they're one of those ones that the leg doesn't go right.
Oh, right. It's just right. Got it. Okay, I can hold it while it's sticking. Here we go. Reporter in the field. Great. Very good. Very good.
Bravo.
Very good.
Hey.
Very good. There goes another rib. Right. So what I've been up to. I've had some fun this week. Actually, I enjoyed what I've been up to. So it's been a mixed bag. Quite a lot of terrainy stuff as well, which I'll get onto. But I did the new bloody miniatures, the light cannon thing.
Oh, nice.
Did see there's the sort of battlement guns, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, I've no idea how I'm going to play them or anything, but probably just as light cannons. But
Sorry, I've just seen Robert's comment. The irony of using glue to fix a horse.
Oh, he's on fire tonight, isn't he?
He is.
Gee whiz, yeah. So yeah, they were fun. I do like. I've managed to resist buying any more bloody miniatures for ages because I haven't.
They are lovely.
I don't need any more ACWs, but in fact, we had a game this Friday, which was quite fun to have F28mm ACW. But so it made me start looking again, but I've stepped away, and I went back to something much more sensible and got on with some more Ottomans.
Oh,
so
nice.
These are, they're bordermen. So they are part of the Ottoman forces in the Balkans, and they are Dixon miniatures, which is a throwback manufacturer that they're still going strong. Actually, they've got some really good stuff. But they mainly do Ottomans for the slightly earlier period, but they do have some that you can use. Like these have got muskets, which work pretty well and seem to fit in quite well. But I did also get some of their heavy cavalry. These fellas.
Oh,
Now,
Oh, nice.
probably by the Napoleonic period, they were probably not barded anymore. But there's some evidence I've been reading that they did wear mail and things like that. So I thought, rule of cool.
those are
Can have some.
lovely.
So yeah, I'm quite pleased with how they came out. Just went absolutely nuts with the colour.
Yeah, why not?
So I don't know about you guys. What I don't know what kind of idiot I am. Well, I do, but don't answer that. But when you do randomized colours, right? So and you then start putting them together in a unit, and if you're not paying attention and then you look at it and you see you've put two of the same colour beside each other,
two
twice.
blues next to each other, or
Yeah. So the
Yeah,
back
you
rank
got
there's
two
two
purples,
whites
yeah,
and there's
and
two
two purples.
purples at the back rank. And I think, how the hell did I manage to do that? It's just, I don't know. I mean, the barding, I managed to get them different. But anyway, so there you go. That's them. And then I did another War of the Roses unit.
So Richard.
Some
so
Richard retinue. So these fellas, again, are Perry bodies and largely, not exclusively, but most of them are Wargames Atlantic arms from the sergeants or the peasants, which was quite fun. Just a bit of variety again, because when you do Martin, when you've done tons of these Perry figures, it does get a bit tedious having exactly the same pose.
I mean, partly what I'm working on at the minute is Wars of the Roses, and I've got a mixture of Perry's, Wargames Atlantic, and 3 other manufacturers on the trot. So yeah, but it's quite fun to just see what you can do and what you can pick out. I mean, there's so many things I haven't used on some of these sprues, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh, I'll keep it." And I thought, do you know what? I'm not. I'm actually throwing sprues away, which I know is sacrilege.
I've got a massive a box down here at the side of the desk here, which is just full of Wargames Atlantic arms and legs and heads, and then Perry bodies, and then a box of Perry bits. It's like, I can imagine it's probably like Steve's living room, just like some sort of Frankenstein activities going on. So yeah. Randomized colors need a spreadsheet, right, Andy? Absolutely.
No spreadsheets. Stay with you people.
Now, what you need to do, Andy, is not put them on their bases, not stick them on their bases at 11:30 at night when you're watching the Super Bowl, and you should be just paying attention to it.
But John, that's actually truly random. If you completely avoid light-coloured figures next to each other, then you're actually putting them in some order. So I think
does that mean I'm clever?
I mean, it just reminds it. Like, let me put it this way: in a bowl of mixed nuts, do you ever see 2 cashews touching? There you go. I'll let you ponder.
That was profound.
Do you know that's wrong? No, that's a quote from Futurama. So that's not.
Oh, okay.
That's all that is. What's happened to Ken?
Ken's frozen. Okay.
Oh yeah,
yes. Egyptians still have male barded horses in the 1880s. Dom. Yeah, that's what I understand. There was evidence of them using them. Actually, I think in Russia as well they had some. So anyway, I went with that, which was cool. And then I don't know, I was fiddling around with terrain and stuff. So
yes, I
did that. That's one of the Perry. Well, it's one of the Renedra sets. House thingy. I think I assembled it last week on the stream, but I'm shit at making models. So look at the massive gap around the top. That's why I needed that glue that you were talking about.
But
I mean, it's just in my mind, it's all a bit sort of run down, so it's got a bit of a crack, subsidence and all that malarkey. But so that was fun. And then I did this broken down bridge,
nice.
Which is nice. Grand Manor. So I'm getting real retro. You got Dixon miniatures and Grand Manor buildings all here tonight.
I was looking at Grand Manor today. Was it today? Maybe today, or maybe it was yesterday. Because he was posting up some Dark Age stuff that he had going. Obviously, it went in seconds. I think that's really nice.
They do some lovely stuff. I mean, and really good, and it comes pretty quick as well. So I think I got a bridge. Well, I got this bridge. I got a couple of emplacements, and I can't remember something else from him. And they're really nice models. And then talking about models, how about that for emplacements?
Blimey.
Is that Grand Manor? Or have you
No,
made that?
they're not. Now, I can't remember where I bought these. I bought these at the same time as I was getting all the Ottoman artillery. And I thought in my mind, I need an emplacement to put the artillery, the big siege guns in. And I measured them up, and the bases fit perfectly in those. But then I realized they're resin basically. But then I realized that being an idiot, I hadn't read properly that they probably have a sort of tapering down at the end that I didn't buy. So they just sort of had this direct cutoff. So then I had to try, and I can't remember where I bought them from. So I then had to sort of mold and create my own sort of taper down at the ends, which was a bit fiddly. But yeah, I'm really pleased how they came out. In fact, we used them in the. We played the Battle of Nantwich from the To Kill a King supplement in ECW, and it used one of these in that. So it actually has seen the table. So yeah, I really enjoyed doing that. It was good fun. Really good fun. Just lots of different dry brushes and washes and whatnot, and quite pleased with how it came out. So there you go. That's what I've been up to.
Very nice.
What about you, Martin?
I've completed nothing. Well, no, that's a lie. I've completed, where are they? A unit and a half, but because I need to complete another unit and a half, so I've got 3 units. I don't feel like they're complete until I've got all 3 units together. Mm-hmm. And now because I've added a command and I've commissioned some flags to be made, I kind of want to show it all off in one thing. Because in my brain that makes sense. But what I've also been doing, I've been sticking together lots more Great Northern War figures. So I've got my next unit to do. I've been getting ready because I've got a game in the next couple of days, which I'm looking forward to, which is the next Ruckus game. Hopefully, I can hit something this time. There's a few bits of bobs sort of on the horizon. I'm just sort of enjoying. I don't know, sort of just taking my time with things at the minute. I've got the next Ragged Staff mini I'm hoping will be on sale after all of the sort of technical errors and bits and bobs of things that have gone wrong. I'm hoping the next Ragged Staff mini will be on sale in a week. And I've got like a production line that I don't have. You can see all this. Can you see all those? They're all horses.
Oh, wow.
Right, that's today's sort of production line. So I'm just trying to sort of just stock up, and then I've got to sort of clean them all and do the prep and all of that kind of stuff. So I don't want to sort of get. And then unfortunately, work is still a thing. So I'm having to do that, and that's there.
Don't send the kids out to work yet. It must be about time, surely. I mean, they like coming to the office and having a look around. It's just that we've got a large amount of sort of early Saxon finds and the odd bit of human bone at the minute. And the last thing I want is one of my kids sort of picking it up and running around going, "Daddy, Daddy," and then I don't know which tray it goes back in, which is the fear. I have to explain to the Ministry of Justice who issued the licenses why why it's missing. But no, it's been all right. I've been enjoying. Hello. Been in a few sort of history groups recently. I liked your Richard III unit because I've been what's the right word? Contributing to some, that kind of contributing, have you? Okay.
Yeah. It was fun. Just some discussions on said person. But yeah. Because I'm not a member of the Richard III Society anymore.
Are you not?
No, my membership ran out because my membership was purchased for me by Matt, Miller, and Robin for my last birthday. But apparently, I think the membership renews at the end of the year, so I'm now out of the I'm out the gang now.
Are you sure it just wasn't revoked?
On the wasn't revoked.
You are.
Being who I am.
A Richard III hater.
I'm not a hater.
Yes,
I'm not a hater. I just, what's the right word?
I think he's a card.
It's more the sort of the feral band of people that sort of like come with him. And I don't mean his supporters in the 15th century.
I said that when I watched a documentary, and some of them were from that society. They're a bit rabid and frothy, aren't they, when it comes to Richard III?
They are. They're very passionate. I'll put it that way. I mean, the thing is with the society, there's a good quote. I think it was Graham Evans or David Grummet who said it. He said there's a lot of really good research that goes on in the society, especially if you're in, you're into your history and things like that. And when the history is good, it's good. Their research is good. The research papers is good. But unfortunately, when it's kind of goes down this sort of popular history kind of route, or what the flavor is in the month, it can be quite sort of like, I don't know, just distracting. Well, every time they put up a post, there'll always be someone on there who goes, "That's my 18th times great grandfather," and you're like, "What?" Like, same as everyone, like same as me, same as everyone else. But anyway, I very rarely they'll post up somebody, say for example, one of Graham Turner's pictures, for example, say of Towton. And because the society has, obviously, completely understandably, their focus is on Richard III and not necessarily Wars of the Roses. And then there'll be some comments about, why is this person wearing a boar badge and not Richard? That's not Richard. The artist doesn't know what they're talking about. Stuff like that. And you're just sort of sitting there going, do I comment or shall I just leave it? You know, and then obviously the comment wins. Oh, no, you can't step away. You can't step away. You can't. You can't. You just can't. Anyway, speaking of fantasy, what I wanted to have a chat about, we do spend a lot of time talking about historicals, and it's because we all love them. But I think all of us, in some way, even Dom, does enjoy occasionally dipping their toe into something more fantastical. Some of us dip our whole foot in. Dom tests the water
and withdrew,
dabbling his pinkies in there. So originally, as I say, this was going to be a chat about what do you like, low fantasy, high fantasy, or that. But because I think we're going to spend, knowing this group and knowing this chat, we're going to spend most of the time arguing about the definition of low and high and what we consider it. I think it's going to be better just to talk about, if we are going, first of all, if you are into fantasy wargaming, what your game of choice is and why. Is it because you're into the painting? Is it, when you do something fantastical, you want to get the most out there possible miniature and go nuts because you're sick of painting field grey? Or is it because you want to emulate a story, a narrative, or a series of books you like? Or is it because you really, really want to paint a badger? Now, I'll start with someone who I know really enjoys their fantasy, which is Ken. So, Ken, what is it? Because you do historicals and fantasy, and you flip between the two quite a lot, don't you? In fact, you'll have times where you'll just do fantasy for quite a long time, and then you'll go back and you'll just do Napoleonics, for example. What is it? What is your preferred fantasy game? I think I know what the answer is, but I'll let you share that. And why? Not necessarily the game, but what is it about that universe that
that's
you
cool.
like?
I gather you were talking to me. It cut out halfway through. As soon as I heard you do fantasy a lot and then go back to Napoleonics, I gathered it was me. Yeah, is that right?
Yes.
Cool.
That was you.
Happy days. Yeah. So obviously, I'm painting it right now. It's Middle Earth, Lord of the Rings. Two reasons behind it, really. I like it how it's out there, but not too out there. So like I can still compare it to this plane of existence, if that makes sense.
You mean Tolkien's works in general, or the
Tolkien's work in general. I can compare it to this plane of existence. I could imagine this is a real place. It's just a different planet somewhere. I could just imagine that. I just love it. I just love the whole concept behind the story. Not necessarily just the third age, but the first, second age, and everything like that. When you start really looking into it, I like the idea of it having its own world. So like Middle Earth, just the history behind it all. I know it's just weird. It's just got such a backstory to it that you can really delve into.
I mean, Sorry, I'm to cut you off. I mean, with all of the sort of the fantasy aspects in order. I mean, obviously you've got essentially. I'm going to get shouted at for this, but essentially they're versions of gods. You've got dragons, you've got monsters, you've got things like that.
Yeah.
That stuff obviously sets it apart quite a lot from historical gaming, because you can paint like the Witch King on the Fell Beast, for example, that isn't going to be rocking up to take on Marshal Ney. I mean, he could. But...
Yeah, if he could, he could. Yeah, I prefer it over. It's like you get that option in King Arthur, right? So you can go down like the wizarding sort of route with that. But I like the idea of it being completely in a different universe, universe, its own world, compared to Arthur's based around medieval times, and
you like your fantasy completely
separate,
like unrelated to the real world.
Yeah, to the real world. I like to escape to it. It's an escape mechanism for me.
Do you find that I'll come on to the game in a second, but do you find that it needs to be familiar? Because obviously Tolkien based a lot of his races and cultures on real world civilizations. So, for example, the biggest one is obviously Rohan, which is quite obviously Anglo-Saxon. Yeah. That's still quite familiar though. So how do you?
Yeah. So I like it because I can understand the natural history behind it. So like dwarves are Germanic, they're based on Germanic society, and the hobbits are based on. I think the translation was. I was reading it today actually because I've got the book for Tolkien's history and stuff. Someone's written. That's more based on UK, England, our Shire. It's based on that. I like it having its little dips to the reality, but I like it to be separate because I can understand what kind of backstory is and what's going on.
Yeah.
Behind things, because I know history of real life. But yeah, I don't like it where, for example, I know it sounds really weird. I don't like if I went to a universe that was just lizard men on their own. Yeah. So it was just a universe of lizard men. The world was lizard men. I wouldn't like that. I like if there's different races and stuff like that, then yeah. But if it was just like an alien race, like xenomorphs on their own, it's not for me.
I still think that'd make a really good. I actually have championed the idea of just having a xenomorph film where they're just hanging around. They're just hanging about. Still be better than Alien Romulus.
Absolutely 100% correct.
So, I forgot I had some little pictures. Look, while we're talking, look, I had there we go. Look, there's Morgoth beating up Fingolfin. There we go. Look, I had some pictures to throw up as we were talking. The John Howe picture. I still would like to see this in a war game. So you play the you like the Middle Earth strategy battle game. It was obviously written by Rick Priestley, and arguably is I think is considered by quite a lot of people to be GW's best rule set. And that's your fantasy game of choice?
Yeah. If I was to choose anything to completely do all the time, it would be that. Even over fantasy battles, even though I really like fantasy battles and I like the universe, and I'm into the story and all that behind it. Tolkien for me is it's just above and beyond everything else.
Okay, cool.
100%. Rules are really good as well. That's what I really like about it as well. I like how I've explained a couple of times that I'm painting all this up for the sole purpose. Because obviously I've got a kid now and it's hard to get a lot of gaming in, like traditional gaming. I'm gonna do a solo campaign of the whole story of the Ring, but I'm gonna start back at the Hobbit. So I'm gonna do Thorin's journey. Yeah, as well as the actual, discovering of the ring and stuff like that. But at different points, I'm going to be sort of mixing it up. So, like, I'm going to be using the combat tactics of Middle Earth, but at the same time, when I don't want to just forget about bits where the hobbits are going into Bree, for example, and they got to go to the gatekeeper and shit like that. I'll play like D&D aspects of that. So I'll mix in a different system to do combative sort of scenes. Just so it can play out the whole thing. Because I don't want to skip the Tom Bombadil part either. I want to do that. A lot of people, I really like Tom Bombadil.
You like Tom Bombadil?
Yeah, I like Tom Bombadil. I like the singing. I like, I just enjoy it. Some people really hate it. It's fair enough, but yeah, for me, definitely, it's got to be Middle Earth. Sorry, I'm waffling.
Oh. No, that's all right. No, we don't. No, it's nice having you and nice to waffle. Steve, what about you? Because you come at things a little bit differently. Because you're not a big Lord of the Rings fan, are you? And you're not a Game of Thrones. And I'm not. I don't mean sort of like the movies. And I'm going to have it a guess that Warhammer Fantasy and sort of the grim dark world is your kind of, or just that kind of grim dark fantasy is your kind of.
Yeah, I much prefer. I mean, I guess I started. We are talking about science fiction as well, aren't we? In fantasy.
Yeah, if you like.
So that's what. No, because that was my start in the hobby. Was Rogue Trader 40k back in 1991. And the thing that struck me about that was the weirdness, the dark, the real. I mean, back then, the workshop universe was dark, and I really enjoyed that. And it just really, I don't know, it just inspired me, and I love the background of the lore. Even now, I still love the Games Workshop 40k lore. I was never really into fantasy per se. I can't. I mean, we played Warhammer Fantasy Battle second. What was the one with Dogs of War in?
Third.
Right, okay. Third. So we played Warhammer Fantasy Battle for about 2 years at 3rd edition, and I enjoyed it. I just didn't think the Warhammer Fantasy Battle lore was as dark as the 40k lore.
Nope, it's not.
It wasn't. No, it's. I mean, there was still some evil types in it, and it was dark to a degree. But I much prefer that the darker side of things. That's probably why I like Turnip 28 as well. That's very dark.
Dark turnip, yeah.
Dark turnips.
Turnip.
But it was weird. It's never really been something I've played Blood Bowl. That's not a dark game. That's just a hilarious game. It's just funny. There's nothing.
Brutal.
It's brutal. Yeah, it's hard to explain. But what do I prefer? I prefer it. Are we sticking with our terms, like the low fantasy and high fantasy?
All right. Okay. So, shall I explain why this is thrown?
Yeah.
So, I think in our terms, we felt things like Warhammer Fantasy would be, say, low fantasy. Grungy, dark. Not. Although I still appreciate that. To be fair, it's probably fairly high because you got high fantasy. You've got dragons and spells and things are very, very commonplace, but it is gritty. When I actually looked up, because I was curious, because I was talking to Robin and Matt about the definition of low fantasy was, the definition of low fantasy is essentially for things that are like Harry Potter and Percy Jackson. And low fantasy would be any kind of fantasy that takes place in our world. With an established world, whereas high fantasy takes place in a completely different world, which is completely different to the definition that we considered, which is why we're not doing it that way now, because that just screws it up. Because that's why. Now, if you want to go and argue, don't even bother doing it here. Go to Reddit, go and argue. There's the literary definition website. Go argue with them. I think it's wrong, but there we go. So yeah, go for it, Steve. Sorry, yes, those are we're sticking with our definitions.
So I spent a lot of the time in my youth in the 90s reading the Dragonlance books. Now I would say that they're sort of a mix, because that's like a really dark setting. There was a cataclysm, the gods threw a mountain at that Kryn, and evil types and evil dragon folk are now ruling the world, and then it's up to these heroes to. It's a lot. It's a bit of everything really. It's dark, but it could be described as high fantasy. But it's a bit whimsy as well. But I don't think they've ever really. I know they did a Dragonlance board game, but I've never seen it. I've never seen it translated to the tabletop.
No, I mean, it was an RPG set. It was a setting, wasn't it? So for AD&D, I think wasn't there might have been because they did sort of flirt with a skirmish game for a while.
Skirmish game would work really well because there wasn't really the books are mainly set around the heroes. So Caramon and Raistlin and Tanis. I
know there was a cartoon made that already was quite poor, if I remember.
Yeah. There was also a video game made as well. It was shockingly bad. But again, that I sort of grew up my early teens reading the Dragonlance books, and they still stick with me. And that I would say that's a type of fantasy that appeals to me. I mean, there's dragons in it, but there's also it's dark. I would say that would be my if I had to nail it down, it would be my ideal type of fantasy.
Okay, all right. Now we're going to come to the wild card in this situation. Who's been sitting quietly in the corner, hoping that I'd forget he's there. Now, Dom, I know you've sort of dabbled with RPGs in the past, like D&D, and I think you said you read things like Discworld. Things like that.
Yeah.
Now, I know you've collected an orc army that numbnuts here got you.
Yeah.
And
into it and then dropped me.
So yes, but obviously you enjoy painting the Boris and Badgers from a painting perspective, and we've talked about it because it's that obviously fancy, but it's you've got that history, because they're wearing there's obvious historical parallels like Landsknecks and plate armor. But then you have sort of when we throw these models up in the news, like for example Moonstone. I know you think they look quite good. So do you lean towards more that sort of whimsical? If it's going to be fantasy, it's going to be a bit of fun. It's going to be a laugh. It's going to be a bit of a satire.
No.
Okay.
No, if I'm absolutely honest,
build it up. All that.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I mean, So, I guess. So the whole sort of Badgers and Burrows thing is I just think they're a laugh, and I kind of enjoy painting them just for something completely different. I've never played the game. I've looked at the rules and they're quite fun. So I think for me, it's kind of almost a suspension of. I like playing games. I like playing battles.
Yeah.
I like playing any kind of game. And I guess for me, I have never, apart from I started out at school like a lot of people of my age did, playing D&D because that's what everyone played, and I loved it and it was great fun. But moved on to figure gaming, and mainly historical. And I guess I've been exposed to historical gaming pretty much all the way through. And most people I game with are regularly that, but I have played fantasy from time to time, and I do enjoy it. But I enjoy the gaming of it. I can't get into all the whole kind of the lore for all the weird shit. My mum always said, I was a terrible reader when I was younger, but what got me reading was The Hobbit. And I've loved all the Tolkien books. I love Pratchett's Discworlds. I love David Gemmell, all the stuff he did as well. All that kind of stuff. And I've read voraciously through all those Conan books. I read all of those.
Yeah.
And I've thought many a time, in fact, I did start thinking end of last year, middle of last year, about I should maybe I'll do a Conan sort of build up an army based around the Conan books. But of course they're really just historical. If you delve into it, they're just you look at the different troop types, they are based on real world armies. And I guess so. What I like, I can't get my head around things like 40k and all the dark, weird shit universes just doesn't do a thing for me. But I do like Tolkien, and I do like those kind of whatever they're called fantasy books. I enjoyed them, and I can quite happily, if I had access to them and had players that wanted to play them, play those sort of games. Because it's a game, and I enjoy the tactical element of it. I enjoy the challenge of it, and the collecting the models. So yeah, there you go. I think that's
no. I think that's probably the most succinct answer. I mean, for me, I mean, my sort of was Tolkien. That's sort of my introduction. But my main thing, which I probably go back to more than Tolkien, is this, and you've mentioned it already, and that's Conan. It's the Hyborian Age, which Robert E. Howard was writing at the same time, but published before Tolkien. Yeah. The Conan stuff was printed in Weird Tales in the sort of the late 20s. The first novels appear. Then the pastiche things came along, didn't they, afterwards, and it's been forever mimicked. Although there's a new set that are coming out now, which is apparently based on some of Howard's notes and things. And you're right, they are. The Hyborian Age, a bit like Middle Earth, is a precursor to our own, isn't it? It's set in as a prehistory to our prehistory, there's quite extensive notes on the different civilizations and who they are and who they develop into, and I absolutely adore Conan especially when you're reading it as a kid, and you start really thinking about the whole idea, how what was it, the whole point of how civilization is not actually civilized, and how barbarian is, everyone calls him the barbarian,
blurring of barbarians
versus,
but
they make him into a gladiator. So there's and then, but just how dark it could be, and then obviously there's a cross into Lovecraft if you're going to go down that down that route. But no, Conan is something that I regularly just listen to and read and really enjoy. Tolkien, as we're saying again, the high fantasy epic sort of heroes. And I think what I like about Conan is, even though he is this kind of epic hero, he's still just sort of making his way in the world. He's not, he's people
sort of fallible, isn't he, as well?
Oh, he's very fallible.
Yeah,
he does some terrible things. He does some awful things. He changes sides really quickly as well.
Oh yeah.
Is it? I can't remember which book it is. Is it It might be the Queen of the Black Coast book, where he's on the boat and he's he's working with these guys as their guard, and they get attacked by Belit, the Queen of the Black Coast, and he realizes that, or basically he fancies her and she's a much better fighter. He just swaps sides, just helps her kill the rest of his crew, and he's like, yeah, there we go. And eventually, obviously, he becomes, as we all know, because of the Arnie from King by his own hand. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about things like this, like Game of Thrones, right? Which are, as he's talked about, is he very much bases this on the 15th century, not just the Wars of the Roses, but characters like Richard II and that, and basically English kings and queens and European ones as well. And you can draw these parallels, between, say, Joffrey and Richard II. Robert Baratheon here in the yellow is essentially meant to be Edward IV. What do you make of things like that? Where because I'm still convinced that the Wars of the Roses is more vicious, more horrific than fiction, because obviously it had a real world consequences. But where does this kind of thing sit? Because there is a Song of Ice and Fire game. I've played it. It's enjoyable. You're not slinging magic around. There's obviously some sort of kind of magical creatures. One army has a couple of small dragons in it. What do you think of that? What's your sort of like your feeling on games like that? And then I guess from that, games like Saga, which I consider to be a fantasy game. How do you feel about that? Yeah.
It's a weird one, because this is actually, like you say, he's based it on it's around about the Wars of the Roses time. So it's actually based on a bit of history. But the stuff I like isn't physically based on a set period in history. Don't get me wrong. Do you see where I'm trying to go?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, if you had something that was based around Romans, it's not something that I would think, oh, fantasy Romans. So this is basically fantasy Wars of the Roses, if you want to butter it in another way.
Yeah.
But you watched it. Like, I mean, I certainly I used to love that series. I watched it all the time. But I wouldn't necessarily have said. I mean, clearly that is the inspiration. If you think about historical precedent, you know, you kind of think, yeah, that matches in. But I wouldn't say necessarily. I don't know. To my mind, when I'm watching, I'm thinking, oh, which one's Richard, or which one's, you know, Edward, or anything like that. Myself, I just think it's just a bloody good story about ruthless people, and there's a similarity to real history of, you know, ruthless people. Sorry, Steve. Yeah. It's not. It is a very good story. Sorry, mate.
What is?
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Oh God.
So where does things like? So I'm going to phrase it. So I got this here. So Moonstone, where you get into the whimsical stuff, and I was thinking about like the Guards of Traitor's Toll. Now I haven't played it. I can't say if it's whimsical. The kind of the way it's been described as sort of the Discworld side of things, and I know that I think sometimes people maybe there's a tendency to. I don't want to say look down on sort of like these kind of games, you know, because there's a bit of whimsy and a bit of a laugh. Well, people just won't take them as seriously. But everything I've heard about Moonstone, its world, it's got its, you know, its lore, the stuff that's been created with it, and the story, I've heard nothing but good things. Whereas obviously other systems and more well-known fantasy systems and people, there's plenty of people with a lot of bad things to say. So it's something anyone tempted to check this out? I mean, I've got the rule book and I've got two little warmans kicking around somewhere. I just need to finish painting them.
I have been tempted because when people have posted it up in the Facebook group or they've shown games of it or the painted sort of war bands, they're so very different to what I would normally paint. I think that's what appeals to me. That I mean, there's definitely an element of whimsy to them, but for me it's just it would be something different, painting something different, being involved in a completely different type of game that I would normally play. But for me, the draw is the actual miniatures. I think they're just so full of character. They just look, and as someone who predominantly paints, I think I'd enjoy painting them.
I think that's the thing as well. So I picked up a box of the new Lizard Men when they came out because I was like, oh, they look more like dinosaurs now. I painted one, and I really enjoyed painting that one. And then it was gone. The first guy was like, okay, yeah, no, these are just going to be monsters in a D&D game now, or Rangers of Shadow Deep, or something like that. So but I do notice myself that when I do fantasy things, I tend to I want to paint quite fantastical stuff if it's for a war game, you know. I was looking at the those Age of Sigmar Spearhead boxes, that new Spearhead mode of play where, you know, that is the box, and I was looking at the ones that were like the city, what was the Empire, and, you know, the Stormcast. I was like, well, they're all just too similar to even what I normally do is guys in armor. I want to do something, you know, completely different. So I wanted to do, you know, the goblins bouncing on the squigs, or just do the battle where it's just 3 big giants. That's it. It's just 3 massive giants, and really sort of maybe push myself a little bit. Ken, do you ever like get a bit of that? I mean, obviously with the Middle Earth game, there's primarily in the models you're doing, because you're using the main models, which are all done by the Perrys.
Yeah.
How much of the real fantastical stuff do you do? And I'm not including orcs in this because they are essentially just still things in armor.
Yeah, same with the Urukai, really, isn't it? It's quite an interesting way you say that. To be fair, when I really think about it, it's not a huge amount of fantastical things I do. I've done a troll, which was good. Don't get me wrong, I really actually enjoyed painting that troll. Which was really nice. I do want to do I want to do Shelob, so the spider. Part of the story. Obviously, I'm doing Old Man Willow. which I'm 3D printing that. Printed actually, so I really want to paint him up. So he's quite out there. But I would say there's less whimsical in the Lord of the Rings stuff. I think that's probably why I like it more. Just because there is less whimsical. There's elves, dwarves, hobbits, and humans basically.
I mean, I would still very much like to do a first, and I've even started a first age army of men. I've even had flags made for them.
Oh, wow.
I commissioned flags based on Tolkien's sort of crests that he drew for the House of Hador. And I guess I would probably look at using Midgard for that, because there's some battles in the First Age that I would absolutely love to wargame that last for days. It's the only time I'm going to... There, one battle where essentially the volcano erupts and just sends fire out down the sides of the volcano. Then orcs, then the dragons come, then the Balrog. Not one but many Balrogs. And then in my brain I'll be so, why didn't I do this at a teeny tiny miniature scale? So a Balrog would be a normal miniature.
The Balrog is probably my favourite whimsical character that I would love to paint. I really, do you know the
GW one?
Yeah, the GW one.
Yeah, because that's obviously Jackson's version of what the Balrog looks like.
Bigger version.
Which is a bit different to what I think they did. But that's the thing, obviously, it's open to interpretation.
Yes, yeah. Just, I would like to paint that. But like the avatar of Cain for the Eldar in 40K.
Oh, yeah.
I like that. The Forge World model for that. I painted that once, and that was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. That was out there for me. I wouldn't normally do that sort of stuff. Just the one-off. I just prefer the one-off big models if it's whimsical than say a whole army of 50, 60 miniatures. Whimsical.
Okay. Robin's just put up a question, which I'll put up, and then we'll do some news, and then there's a lot of comments to go through, which we can obviously cast our expert opinions over. So Robin has just said, do people find they separate mythical and legends from fantasy? For example, giving Achilles heroic abilities, but still playing a historically plausible game, which I guess is also where the King Arthur stuff falls in a bit, where you're, if you're talking about, say, Midgard or the Arthur supplement. I know with Midgard you can sort of adjust the level of magic you're putting into things. In the Hail Caesar version, it's literally he causes some people to turn up late and doesn't the weather change. Isn't that and that's that's that idea that did he or didn't he, or did he just know the weather was going to change because he's Michael Fish's ancestor or something? How's this work? What do you think, Dom? What do you think? Do you think that is that still fantasy to you? Like, so like the Trojan War, for example. We talked about the Trojan War. Would you still give Achilles and Hector and these guys some extra abilities, or even have it, because obviously in the Iliad, the gods take an active part in screwing with people and really messing things up? Would you do that, or would you keep it as they're just a good fighter and a good commander?
I'm more inclined to do that. That they're inspirational in some way because of their their level in society. They've trained since birth, though they're better fighters than most, and they got better equipment than most. So that's the way I would tend to put it. But that's because I'm coming at it from more of the historical side of view, and I think if you're heading down the other route, then you're heading more into the sort of saga-y type mentality, aren't you? Where there's a lot more magic or special abilities, and I kind of my worry. So one of the things I kind of feel a little bit, maybe it's me entirely, and I think I kind of feel a bit lost with, because I don't have that fantasy background in terms of gaming. Is when you get to this point where you got one character that can carve its way through everything in the enemy army, kill everything, and almost be impossible to kill. To me, that just I don't like that. I'd rather have somebody who's just a inspirational leader, general who's particularly good, gives encouragement to the troops, kind of thing, rather than that special magical person. So that's the way I fall down, definitely.
Yeah, but you can still have like we've done many times. You have somebody who's good at fighting, but like there's a limit. They're gonna they're gonna do all right in the combat, or there's a risk to them to sort of do it. I mean, okay. What about you, Steve? What do you think about that? What would you if you were going to do that, say for Trojan War, would you add in the gods and all of that?
No,
stuff?
I agree with Dom. I think I would use.
Bloody hell. We're agreeing on fantasy stuff. What's going on?
I know. It's mark it in your calendar, folks. It's a very special day. No, I just think it. Like Dom said, you'd apply rules to make them that stand out from the rank and file. They're better fighters. They're better inspirational leaders. And leave it at that. Don't make them, an all-conquering character that can, take out an entire unit by itself. I just think that's the best way to go about it. I mean, that's what I think.
Okay. See, I don't know about you, Ken, but I absolutely would. I'd add a mechanic in for the gods to really screw with stuff.
You're on your own with that one, mate. I'm with Dom.
Am I? We see. If I was gaming, because I would want to game the Iliad, not necessarily the historical Trojan War. I want to do the Iliad, and actually have the things that they do where because actually then if you have far more troop choice as well, but they're so capricious, and because half the gods side essentially with the Trojans, the other half side with I don't mean having a god on the battlefield. I don't mean having like everyone walking around treading. I mean having a system by where either a card mechanic or something whereby there are little effects in the game where you can do things or nudge things.
But wouldn't you have just something like the auspices? I don't know. There's some game mechanics where the Romans and the Greeks can sort of get the omens, and that again psychologically that helps them in the game, with some kind of ability. Or would you actually want to meddle? Actually, I know the answer to that stupid question.
Oh no, I'd want to meddle properly. I'd really want to upset my opponent. Yeah, no, I'd really want to upset people if I was doing it. Which is in the story in the Iliad. When he wrote that, that's what. They do. I'm trying to think of some specific examples, and I'm struggling. But they do some really, really screwy stuff. I think they do a lot. Obviously, there's a lot of things they do with the weather. But then I do see your point, because obviously then you have Achilles is essentially invulnerable. So how do you mimic that in a game? Like only you have to roll a dice, and if you roll a 1, it goes through the heel.
Yeah.
How do we? Yeah, it's interesting. But then the same, interesting.
I just think you could. I mean, I don't know. I think it's sort of that suspense. For me, it's that very clear definition or very clear division between fantasy, historical, and I know there's grey areas between the two, but for me, that's going too far into that. So I'd rather sort of almost be able to explain why, somebody was seen to have these special powers or special abilities in terms of, real world examples. And that just makes me feel comfortable. But each their own. I just won't play you at the Iliad. That's fine.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Mark just he goes, the gods make the Trojans stupid enough to take in a wooden horse. There you go. That's the kind of, there you go. That's sort of good. Fair point. Fair point. Okay. Right. Let's pause that. We've got a lot of comments on this, which is ace. To the person who I saw in the comments who said, do I like Victrix? Yes. I can't find that comment now. But yeah, I do, on the whole. There's some shocking early sets which I don't, but I think we must have been having too much of a bad go against Rubicon, or probably me actually, in all fairness, because there was a comment on last week's stream saying, so what's wrong with Rubicon?
I replied to about 15 pages of responses.
The Victory's British are shocking. The Old Guard, on the other hand, I love.
Oh God, good, but yeah,
The
yeah.
new Victory
Still,
is
it's still,
brilliant
still,
stuff.
yeah. It's painful because the Old Guard are in that middle stage of value. You get so many figures, don't you, for the
Yeah.
it's unique. But the British are just too fiddly. But their new stuff that they're bringing out is really awesome, isn't it?
It is, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, we've got some news, haven't we? Let's pause the chat and let's have a look at what's going to be going on. Dom, you seen much out there in the wild?
Yeah, a little bit actually. Well, the first one I'm going to start with. I know a lot of people. It's funny, isn't it? But everyone's been going on for years about the greying of the hobby, which I think we all agreed is pretty rubbish. But actually, in terms of manufacturers, there's been an awful lot of them recently who've kind of got to that point where they're retiring and wanting to give up the hobby.
Yes.
And so I think the last one that was announced was Calpe miniatures.
Calpe, yeah.
I've not got any of them, but by all accounts, they are some of the finest Napoleonics you can get. They do Prussian, Saxons, and a few French. He announced, the guy Peter who runs that, announced he was going to retire, and everyone was worried about it. Apparently, as happens every time when that happens, they got inundated with thousands of pounds worth of orders. And Gripping Beast have announced they're going to be taking that over. So the range will not disappear; it will continue. So they've now got front rank and Calpe miniatures on top of all the other goodness that they have. So that's kind of cool. Really, really good indeed. Nice to see that happen. So I might end up doing a Saxon army at some point, but there's no rush anymore, so that's a relief. You talked about this last week, but Wargames Atlantic have also, as well as the Traitor's Gate game sets, there's also the individual box sets available from last Friday. So you got the guards and you got the villagers.
These would be perfect for RPGs if you or for those games like Rangers of Shadow Deep and stuff like that. Absolutely perfect.
Really good indeed. Also, a Reconquer. So the preview of some of their March release. So these are Spanish Hillmans, I believe. So that's one of them. He looks quite angry. And there's another one. I don't know what that guy's doing, but he's got a nasty looking falchion or something similar by the look of it. So, but anyway, so that's the first of the March slots that they're showing off, which I'm not sure how I'd use them, but I'm sure they must be. I mean, you could use them for sort of Saxony type warriors, couldn't you?
Skirmishers, yeah. I'm sure you could probably work them into your Crusade stuff.
Probably
your Norman stuff. Sorry, your Sicilian stuff. They probably fit in there as some sort of like locals.
Yeah. So anyway, there you go. That was that. Also, Steel Fist. Now I love these, and I'm trying to work out how I need them. But these are German peasant set, apparently. So
this is from the Peasants' War.
Yeah, from the Peasants' War. You've got the drunken looters, a priest, a couple of priests by the look of it there, which just really, really cool figures. I like them a lot. So I think they're out next month, is this first release. And also
they're Paul Hicks sculpts, aren't they?
Paul Hicks, Mr. Hicks, not a rocket there at all, but he did do those. And then 15 mil ECW 30-Year War cavalry, so another set of those with the tri-bar helmets. And I do know these are fantastic figures. They're a little bit pricey, but they do actually fit in quite well with the epics. And there's another box.
So Miller's done a load of those actually. I think he thinks they're very good, but as you say, quite pricey, but worth it. I think was the general takeaway. Yeah,
definitely so. I know there's also a lot of players here of Rapid Fire. So there is a new Rapid Fire supplement out, Scenarios for the Russian Front, which you can pick up as a PDF for £5 if you're into that, from the Rapid Fire website, which are cool. I think that's exactly. I think I've got the first edition version of that. I've still got it somewhere when we used to play Rapid Fire. And then the Blessed Perrys showed off their next projects, which are plastic Bavarian infantry for the Franco-Prussian War. So it's I think they go on sale next month. I think
I've got there you go. I've got a close.
There we go. So it's a 36 box set of plastic goodness. You've got the skirmishers and you've got the line troops. They look awesome. They look really cool.
Is this tempting you to go back down that route?
Loads of them. So, of the Prussians and French, and I just, to be honest, laziness of having to read the Valor and Fortitude rules properly and have a go at them, because that's what holds me back on that. It's just the rule set. They're cool.
I mean, isn't the Valor and Fortitude rules 3 pages long?
Yeah, I know, but I've got to actually read it and understand it, Martin. I can't just bullshit my way through it like a normal.
I mean, not being funny, but that you could do 2 good reads on the Luke, and
yeah, true. It's true. Yeah, it's true. I must do it. Yeah, all right. I'll read it on the loo tomorrow. There you go. Done.
Okay, can you give us a report for next week on the rule book, not just the trip to the loo?
I mean, if it's rubbish, I can just flush it straight away, can't I? There you go.
Well, there you go. It's 3 pages. Do you know what? I'm not going to ask.
All right, that's all I saw. What about you?
I haven't got a great deal to add, really. All sort of the main stuff got picked up. So mine is actually entirely fantasy, which is very fitting. Now, I saw these for Warhammer the Old World. These came along because you can, which were arcane frogs, which I loved. I think those might be the best miniatures that Games Workshop have released.
What happened to that one in the yellowy, the white?
I love it.
What the hell's happened to him? It looks like he had a really bad day.
They're really, really good.
It's ace. So you can, I think there are certain spells you can turn people into frogs, and there are the frogs. So excellent. Now, speaking of the sort of more whimsical looking miniatures, these are just sort of I really like warp miniatures. They're the ones you remember who did the gnome.
Oh yes.
God, anyway, I'm still considering that. You could do a Midgard. Come on, bring the gnomes. Did I show you guys some glorious person scaled them down to 15 mil, so they were like giddy and multi-based. Yeah, if you have a look on the warp miniatures, and he multi-based
loads of them.
Yeah, it was like that scene in Starship Troopers where they're all swarming outside the base place. But just little nose, little red hats. Just anyway, he's got some dwarf miners up for this month on his Patreon, and I think it's was it nine quid a month. So look at these guys. Look at the carts.
Oh, they're brilliant.
Really nice. Really cool. I think they're completely usable in his case. See, I've got this as well. I did have the first edition of Art World, which I never played. I backed the Kickstarter, and it was one of those ones that by the time it came, I'd stopped caring. But I've got the miniatures, and Dom, you would probably really like the human miniatures. They're essentially they're Napoleonics with crossbows and breastplates.
Right,
but they're called the Kingdom of Albion, and there is I think the captain is called I think he's called Sharp. I think it is just Sharp, like Colonel Sharp. But the Steed, the banner bearer, is Bruce Dickinson from Maiden. But yeah, these look at that.
Oh, they are good.
Yeah, I really like those. So it could be usable in whatever fantasy thing you're doing, old world or your own thing. I know this guy's got black eyes or something. How he's painted that, he just looks like he's not slept very much. So where I see these, all I can think about is the Rammstein video to Zon.
Oh, yeah,
yeah. No, That's very, very cool. So yeah, do go and check those out. Obviously, any of the stuff you've seen here, you can go, well, most of it, you can go and order from Boards and Swords. You sponsor this podcast, and you can go and chuck in that code and get your 5% off. If you, especially, I know those War Games Atlantic box sets in particular. He's key to. I nearly went down the Qua route as well. I'm teetering on getting the Qua. I really am. I don't know why. I just have this. I did what you. I don't know. Did you? I just started having a look through the other models. I'm just like, why am I even looking at this? Is it an insect? Is it a worm? I don't understand.
I mean, when you think of Whimsy, that's the core. I think.
Well, I think about them, but then I get this image of Alex in my head, just kind of pointing at me like Kitchener, and like just accusing me. And then
Alex
at
the top of the stairs going.
I closed. Yeah.
I've actually got a box. I've had a box of them for the past 8 months, and I've never done anything with them. I think I glued a couple together, but that was it. I never painted them. I really need to just have like a Qua weekend. That just sounds completely wrong. Spend some quality time with the Qua.
Quality time with the Quas.
We're all FOMOing, aren't we? You think about it, like Steve's bought that box of Qua, never done anything with it. You're thinking about doing it, so you know you're going to buy it. You know you're going to buy it.
I just like to live vicariously through my friends.
I know Don's played it, and he said the actual game is a fantastic rule set.
Yeah, I did read that. I read somebody talking about how good the actual rules were as a game.
There's just so many rule sets, isn't there?
Yeah, that's the problem.
Good.
Oh, can we give John Post of the night quality time?
Holy smoke!
As David say, Pete Berry slugs away once every month releases dishes to the back of 6 century range. Does it ever get a mention in the news? No. If you see it, post it in the group, and then it'll get a mention in the news. But as none of us probably do that much 6 mil, we're not going to see it. So if you see it, post it in the group and share it. That's what encourage everyone to share it. Yes, that's it. The Qua tanks double dip. Yeah, it's the new set. The Fidwogs.
Yeah.
Ken, just look them up. Look up the Fidwogs.
Mate, I'm worried for that. I'm not putting that in with the work phone.
The Fid. They're not fiddly. Fid is Fidwogs, isn't it?
Go on to the War Games Atlantic website. You'll find them. They are very cool.
And like they're dwarf Qua, right? They're miniature Qua. They're Hobbit Qua. So they're little Qua, and they have little tanks. They have little tanks on the sprue.
It would all be amazing if you could just buy the models pre-painted, ready to play with. I'd be so happy.
No, because I want to give them all mad colours.
No, it just
did you know they do? You know they do them in 15 mil as well, don't you?
Yeah, still got to paint them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just too much.
Yes, there we go. Look, that's a good thing. See it, share it, sorted. Oh god, it's all going. It's all going. Let's have a look at some of the comments, shall we, from the things. Ewok Kebab. What a name.
Ewok Kebab. Wow.
I'm pretty sure that was in my kebab in Derby, to be fair. I'd love to see games in a low fantasy. See, this is what I thought. I thought of Joe Abercrombie's The First Law books. I thought of those as low fantasy, but apparently I'm wrong, according to the internet. So yeah, those are great. But Ken, have you ever listened to any of Joe Abercrombie's books?
No, I haven't, mate.
The First Law book. You'd really like those.
I'd love to listen.
It's essentially, I don't even really know how to describe them. They're very grim dark.
Oh, okay.
Fantasy books. They're very cool. He's got a whole series
once, and they are very weird. I kind of couldn't get my head around it at all.
I'll probably like it.
Yeah, probably would.
No, I'll send you a thing. They are quality. Lazy Pirate Painting, Kings of War, best rank and flank fantasy game I've ever played. You don't say. How many armies have you got now, dude? How many? No, I enjoy Kings of War a lot. I do. I haven't played it now for I think 3 years, but I did enjoy every game. I really did. Once you sort of get your head around it's very fast paced and stuff leaves the table so quickly, and there's no as long as you don't get attached to your troops,
I would find difficult with that because it's like you spend hours and hours and hours building your forces, getting them all set up, and then one sweep of the dice and they're off the table.
I mean, at least in this, it's the unit that goes, and it's not like you're picking out individuals. In this, it is the whole unit. Similar to Black Powder or whatever. The whole unit breaks. So
they do look cool.
They
look really cool, and I do like the multi-bases of them. That's really cool.
Well, that was the thing I had because I've got my old Empire army base now for Kings of War, and I've got that one huge base that's like 100 mil wide, and I've done like a road down the middle, and then half of me was like, should I just snap them off and put them on single bases again and have an Empire army because everyone's gurning over that at the minute because and I've got shitloads of them that I still haven't painted that are just sitting there on sprue. But then I probably won't play it. Friends of General Haig says he likes his fantasy historical, e.g. Lord of the Rings.
Very good.
John, oddly, I don't do fantasy at the moment. Sci-fi, yes, and that should be another topic for another day, and it will be once Dom's recovered from this one. I have dabbled in Flintlock in the fairly... Yeah, that's what I've heard of.
Oh, yes, that's the one where it's Napoleonic, but they're like the orcs are the British and the elves are the French or something. I forget which way around it is. I mean, when I saw that the British were orcs, I thought, well, that's wrong straight away.
Well, isn't it in the Lord of the Rings films? Aren't the Barmy Army the voices of the Uruk-hai? Aren't they making all the grunting and the growling?
They really? I didn't know.
I think Peter Jackson just took his microphone to a cricket match and just recorded all the England fans, and he got them to go, and they're the Uruk-hai. That's one that could be interesting. I mean, Steve, would you get over your fear of French drummers if it had an orc's head and a kit bashing together? You could really do that quite easily, I suppose, because you've got the North Star orcs and obviously all the plastic perries that you can shake a stick at. You could quite easily kit bash together some stuff.
As long as I don't have to paint them that traditionally. If I could go free reign and paint them my own way, I think. Yeah,
I think you could. Maybe you should have a look.
I might do that.
You might have to do that. I mean, you could even be just use like a head for a drum.
Step into my web.
Definitely no white trousers though.
I just want him to do it, so I don't. It's the but no, that might be worth.
You want to see any self-respecting orc in white trousers?
What a centerpiece, though. What a general command base. What a command base. Lynn said, gotta be Frostgrave for him. Make a story with a wizard and apprentice exploring a frozen city while hiring different mercenaries, lots of different baddies to fight, and you can adjust the realism of. Yeah, I've played a couple of games of Frostgrave. I got the snot kicked out of me by the NPCs. I don't think I even got near the enemy. I think I went into a room, opened a treasure chest, and it turned out essentially there was a troll nearby, and it just chased me and just battered my wizard into the snow. A bit like Rangers of Shadow Deep, where I got killed by a rat. See, that's something we'll have to do. The four of us, we'll have to do Rangers of Shadow Deep. And play through a session of that. That would be hilarious. That would be great fun. Jamie says the fact that Tolkien inevitably had come up with a backstory to each race and several epic poems and will inevitably narrate those at length to you is a double-edged sword. Yes, yes, it can be. I think yes. And then you get the whole lineage. That's very true. You have to settle in. I have to be in the mood for Tolkien. Even though I love it, sometimes I just don't have the will. Andrew, I like the look of Silver Bayonet. Like that had piqued your interest, Dom, didn't it? And you painted them up and then you got rid of them.
Yeah, I did. I thought it was. I think it did really interest me as a. It looked quite a clever game. I've seen people play it online, and it looks quite an interesting mechanic. But I think ultimately, I've decided that I don't really like skirmish games as much as that. So I kind of just moved away from it. So, but yeah, it does look good. It looked very good.
Yeah.
Some chap in Germany bought all those, which is quite funny.
I pressed the wrong. Oh God, where's it gone? I've lost everything. There we go. Digger Down Under. Back in the day, it was Warhammer Fantasy Battle First Edition and D&D. These days, it's Frostgrave. I mean, D&D, like D&D, AD&D. Back when TSR owned it, has a special place in my heart, mainly because of all the maths that I had to do, and I hate maths. I don't know if you does anyone remember who played for? Do you remember FACO? The stat by which you had to work out what you needed to roll. FACO stood for 2 hit armor class 0. So you had your FACO, and then which, for example, for a level 1 character, your FACO would be 20. If you were just, or a fighter, you might get lucky and your FACO was 19. And then you took the armor class of the enemy you were fighting and subtracted that from your FACO, and that's what you needed to roll over on a D20 to hit them. So if something had an armor class of 0, you were trying to roll, which would be a decent set of armor, you were trying to roll 19 or more, or you were trying to roll a 20 on a D20 to hit in the first one. So, and you're sitting there and they're just charts galore. I've got the second edition player's handbook kicking around here actually, and just the maths, just the maths.
Yeah,
so much. I do miss that. Someone locally, one of my friends was talking to a local group, and they're like, "Oh, do you want to play it again?" And I think it might be one of those things where I think it's best left in the past.
Yeah,
I don't want to play it again.
A memory rather than
a happy memory of arguing with people and getting one of those scientific calculators out to work out what I need to hit naked goblin shaman or something. Yeah. Nathan, my pick was kind of made for me. A couple of kids at church knew I was a Warhammer player and they liked the look of Age of Sigmar. So I started my own Age of Sigmar project to encourage them into the hobby. It's a good shout. I mean, it is still the main gateway. Let's face it, although I think there's good stuff going on with historicals and other games and smaller games and getting people into it. Stuff like Age of Sigmar. Although I do see people love playing it, especially that Spearhead thing. That seems to be really going down really, really well. Some people say it's the perfect way to play Age of Sigmar.
I've been getting loads of recommendations about Spearhead recently. It's a bit like it's like the 40k Combat Patrol, isn't it? Where you get it in a box and that's all you need in that box.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's it. That's it. You use that and that's it. And there's a format to play where you I think you have a deck of cards, and therefore I think objectives come and go and objectives change through the game. The only thing, I think you can make custom boards for it. I know when you buy sort of like the rule box for it, it comes with like a board and there's objective spaces. Yeah. But from what I understand, a lot of people I think the games last 45 minutes to an hour. Pack away, set up, walk, and then have another one. It's probably right on your screen.
Yeah, they're not huge, are they? They're not
no, and that's it. But some of those Spearhead boxes are just like 10 models, and then like the Goblin set's about 50. And I think one of the Spearheads is just entirely squigs. It's just entirely squigs. See, I'm tempted by that, and then thinking, because I could try out Age of Sigmar, but then I'd probably just end up.
It'd be nice. Be nice to finish something though. That's the problem I've got. Is just be nice to actually get a system, finish it, and actually be able to play with it completely, and not have to keep going with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But are we ever really finished?
Yeah,
that's the story.
But you have finished one, and you're selling it.
Yeah.
No, still technically it's not. Technically, it's not finished. It's still not finished. I haven't got enough commanders. It's not finished yet technically, and I haven't got enough skirmishers. But the only reason I'm selling that is because I've got the epic stuff on both sides. So I've got both sides.
Remember what I said to you? You better not sell that command base I made you for Christmas on here. You sell that Italian command base.
It's there.
Then
I'm not selling it anyway. I would only trade it, and I wouldn't.
Maybe you could. I was going to say maybe you could trade it for Ian's fleet, but I think he's got rid of some of those now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't. No, I did try that already. Don't worry.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
They bet you did. Oh dear. Right, let's see what the next comment was. Mobile and hostile. Director's cut of Napoleon probably features the Witch King taking on Marshal Ney. Just rides up and just get rid of that scene that's in the extended Return of the King where he takes on Gandalf. Just swap it out. It's just batters Marshal Ney.
What, at the point where he screams "I'm Ney" in the Waterloo film?
Yeah. Yeah. Robin, you get to mix bits of recognizable history. Anglo-Saxons fighting medieval. I'm a bit confused as to what that's the second part of. Sorry, Robin. Lionheart, my introduction to the hobby was collecting Lord of the Rings miniatures through a magazine, which was it's what you did, isn't it, Ken? So I'll always be into Lord of the Rings miniatures for nostalgia reasons. Also, I love the film. See, I've got the new edition. I've got the new box set. I've got after I've worked on these, I'm going to stick together all the new Rohan models, which come with separate faces.
Yay! Dom, please have a go.
Can you say that again?
Some of the miniatures in the new set have separate faces. The head comes in two parts.
What kind of?
I mean, they are really detailed and really nice. Now, bear in mind that these are updates on the Perry sculpts that are 25 years old or whatever it is now. Which I still think they're great and they do the job well. They do look very nice, but they are. I'll clip one off and send it to you, Dom. Just do a short. Just do it. Film a short. Go on, film. Go on, please. Film a short with that glue. Bite that really sticky glue. That super glue. Dom comes out later. The only thing the face is stuck to is the end of his finger,
nose or something.
I think some of the Elvish Blood Bowl teams come with separate faces as well.
What kind of hell is that? I mean, why?
About his ankle joints, isn't it?
We'll have to. We'll have to. I'll have to see.
I would pay good money to see that. I really would.
Lazy Pirate Painting. Kings of War was designed to be a competitive tournament game, so the basic rules are very clean and easy to learn. It's very true. The army lists are well balanced, so you don't often get one-sided games. That is very true as well. Actually, I found that when I played that, you know how in Warhammer, what you were talking about, Dom, how you can have a special character who just walks through everyone. That, as far as the games we played, didn't really exist in Kings of War because you still just have generals who are attached to units.
Yeah.
They attach themselves. They can go into combat and things, but they can go in with other people.
So that appeals to me more. I mean, I've seen some people play that, and I just think, because I kind of it almost feels like a historical battle because there's not. I mean, the fact you've got different sort of weird creatures everywhere is almost like just different troop types.
Well, they made a historical. They made a historical set, didn't they?
Yeah,
they Kings of War historicals is a thing as well. If we could get someone to put on Kings of War at CrackCon, that would be. Demos. If that at whatever scale, because I know people enjoy those rock miniatures that Steve gets. And, the Kings of War. If someone wants to put on Kings of War, but because we've had demos of Lord of the Rings, we've had. Age of Sigmar, we've had other things. That'd be a cool one to see some Kings of War get played.
You're shitting me.
What?
He's got 28 Kings of War armies.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah, there we go. I have all 28 Kings of War painted, and I'm still adding more.
I saw his. Did you watch his video of the tournament he did the other day? They look amazing. I love it. Really interesting.
Oh man. Matt says he's also a big fan of Middle-earth strategy battle game. He's painting up the Fellowship. Frodo is on the table as I type. Excellent choice. Paul said do the RPG, Steve. That's very dark. I think he's talking about Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, which is really dark.
Warhammer Fantasy Battle Roleplay. Yeah, we did. Did quite a bit in the 90s. What was that? Was it Bogenhofen?
Bogenhofen. Is that one of your drinks?
I always remember. That name always stands out. It was a place we visited, and it all went downhill because I tried to make a joke in a tavern, and it didn't go down very well.
Boghaven.
Was it Boghaven? That's it. Ball cave. Yeah, I decided to crack a funny at the bar, and it all went downhill and ended up in a mass brawl, and it was quite. That's it. Yeah.
Right,
Sorry,
Shadows over Bogenhofen. Yeah, remember it now.
Sorry, I was just trying to find my second edition player's handbook, but I can't see
Find
it.
it.
Well, no, I'm going to assume that it's not the kind of thing that Haley would just, move. So
You do have children that might have moved it.
they won't have. They won't. Well, actually, that's they may have. They may have
It's
done.
childhood.
Trevor says Warhammer Fantasy Battles was his first intro into tabletop gaming. He still plays Enjoy 6th edition, known now into Oathmark and Midgard, and using the same minis. Yep, that's what I've seen a lot of people do. My only experience of Oathmark was at a game that you two played. So,
funny enough, it's my only experience as well, mate.
Dear. On that bombshell, I'm gonna have to shoot. But
all right, mate.
No worries.
Nice.
Yeah.
No worries.
That's right. It's great
Nice
to
one.
be back on. I'll be back in 2 weeks. So I shall be back on.
Yes, because we're not here next week.
No.
And then in 2 weeks we are with Steve.
Yeah,
Steve?
me
Yeah.
in 2 weeks.
Yeah, Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So I will be
Excellent
back.
stuff.
So I will see you guys later. It's great to be back.
See you later.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So moving on. So James says he thinks the key to a successful fantasy background is internal consistency. It doesn't need to be perfect. There's people who like to pick holes in Tolkien, but it needs to make sense within itself. Yes. Yeah, you kind of establish. It's a bit when I've read fantasy novels where they kind of almost establish their rules, and then within a chapter they break those rules. There's some kind of character that could, almost in a Matrix kind of way. It can be quite off-putting, and that goes, I guess, for tabletop gaming as well. If you have a special character that kind of comes along and just breaks the system, that can always be particularly irritating.
Yeah, that's definitely not just a thing for fantasy games. That's definitely can have any rule system. But
oh god, yeah, you have that character is like, there's it changes the method of play, or it's just some way that they work.
It could be a tank that is just impossible to destroy, or no power.
You know what? What one always
Tiger Fit.
Yeah, Tiger Fit. There you go.
The one that always sticks in my brain is going back to original Rogue Trader, and my mate, he had the Avatar, and he gave it bounding leap and sustained assault, and this thing could kill armies in one turn. If you were going up against his army with like Imperial Guard or something, it would just kill everything.
So because the fun of that,
it wasn't fun at all.
No, I just don't get it. I think even as the player running that, surely.
Yeah, I think back in the day we were like young, teenagers. I think it was more of a power thing. Look at me, I just completely annihilated your army. Aren't I the best?
I can see it the first time it happens, it being quite a laugh, especially in your opponent's face. But
not when that's your entire gambit is using one figure to annihilate your opponent's army. No.
Yeah, I think, and that's sort of like we talked about how the changes happen, and I like to have a narrative, and again, if you're going to have a situation like that, you would almost have that thing on its own, and you'd be like you would try and create a scenario around it, or a last stand, or time, or some kind of mechanic to, almost.
I mean, the only time that would really be an acceptable game was if you were refighting that historical scene from Fury. I mean, that would be entirely reasonable.
God,
absolutely. Matt wants to know if you ever played More Time, Steve.
No, it missed us. Nobody at the club I went to wanted to play it, and now that I see it, I think it would be absolutely perfect for me. Grim dark, small war bands, small table side. Yeah, brilliant. But yeah, we missed it back in the day. We didn't know to get to play it. But I know it's no longer continued by GW, but there's got a really, really dedicated community keeping it alive, which I think is absolutely brilliant. But no, never did. And one that I regret, I do deeply regret never playing it.
It's a bit like Necromunda, is obviously it is. It's just Necromunda is, it's just a fantasy, but it kind of it just kept on going, didn't it? It just kept on with a loyal fan base, a little bit like the Middle Earth game. That was out of the GW didn't support that for ages, and it was the community that really kept that going. Reese is just on the shout. Is anyone, while we're talking about fantasy, is anyone else excited for the release of the next Dungeon Crawler Carl audiobook? Is anyone else a fan? I've never heard of it, but I'm going to go and look at it now.
Yep, I've heard of it.
I'm always open to new things. Sometimes. Storm of Steel. Hear the lamentations of the women. Absolutely. I mean, one of my favourite pieces is still the opening crawl. It's a Noah prince between the years where the oceans drank Atlantis and the rise of the sons of Ares. That whole sort of spiel, which for some reason at the start of every Conan book, I have to go back and read that first at the start and start the new thing. I just love it. Although then in my head the music, the Basil, oh god, what's his second name? Popodorus, the Anvil of Crom music from the film, the that.
God, I've not seen any of the Conan films for absolute years.
I mean, technically, there's only one worth watching. So.
From what I remember,
I absolutely love that film. I was actually asking Haley at the weekend if Tessa's too young to watch it, and I got told yes. So we watched Robin Hood, Prince and Thieves instead, which is a lot more violent than I remember. Which I've got no problem with. But in the first scene, there's hands flying off and someone's set on fire. Tessa was fine. It's only a PG, but I saw that when I was 7. That was one of the first films I saw at the cinema with my mum and dad in 1990. But it's just a good laugh. We're doing a film a week, so we finished all the Lord of the Rings, all of the Hobbit. We've done Short Circuit. Nice. So we're gonna do Robin Hood. I'm gonna try and work my way. She hated Willow, though. Tessa did. She absolutely hated Willow. Not quite sure why, but Nick Games painting Oathmark orcs is great fun, like the Tolkien darker evil kind of orcs. Yeah, and I was looking at these 10mm ones that Wargames Atlantic are going to be doing, thinking about sort of more Tolkien-y orcs and maybe a mass battle there, because that is what I want to do. But then again, I love 28mm. The crazy cartoon green kind of orcs, like you can do all kinds of orcs. Don't forget the goblins too. I mean, there is a lot of orcs. Yeah. Lazy Pirate. I started fantasy gaming and playing D&D, then started doing D&D battles using the standard rules. Crazy games. And Warhammer came out and I played all 8 editions, and now it's Kings of War. Just in case we hadn't realised that already. X is that double dip. Speaking of the Balrog, have Martin or Steve heard of the band King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard? Yes, I have.
I have, yes.
And now so has Dom. And I think this needs to go on the PCP playlist.
Leave it with me. I shall get that added post haste.
Tracks to check out include Lord of Lightning versus Balrog and my personal favourite, Crumbling Castle.
Right.
Brilliant.
Leave it with me.
That will go on there.
I shall get that sorted.
David Few, just wondering how reassuring it would actually be as an ancient soldier to watch some weird old man slit open, then poke inside some random animal to potentially alter the course of the battle. Right, yeah. So I was just checking.
I think it's all about omens, I assume, rather than necessarily some kind of
I think they would be looking at you. Would be looking at each other a bit questioningly. Yeah, absolutely. Tony, if you think D&D was bad, try the hero system. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh, it was MERP. MERP was the other one, the Middle Earth role-playing game. Was it Ice? Oh my god,
we played MERP for a while, late 90s.
That's Lord of the Rings.
I know.
Isn't it weird that all these games were it was the same in historicals, so much more complicated, wasn't it? It was so bloody complicated.
I remember MERP being very, very complicated. Luckily, it was only ever GM'd by one person.
The roles you had to make. You would like sneak it up on somewhere, and then you'd execute, X, Y, and Z roll, and then there was a chart to see how many feet you moved. Yeah. And it was like you've gone 20 foot.
But we were all
Brilliant
quite happy
art
with it, weren't we? We loved all those.
Yeah,
kind
I
of
loved
things.
it. I loved it.
Bizarre. I don't know what it was.
I've got to say also, I mean, things about Merp. I remember the artwork was just amazing on the set. I had all the second edition books. And to be fair, the One Ring, the sort of the successor to all of these, the artwork in that is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Planet Tobal TV, we've been mushing together Mighty Empires, cool.
Ooh,
Warhammer Fantasy
cool.
Battle third, and Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay first. Mega Hammer. Campaign war game stuff has been generating good RPG stuff. That would be fun. It would be fun to have a like a map-based campaign, and then you RPG a little bit of it, and then maybe your characters are in the war game. That would be quite fun. I remember in D&D or Pathfinder at that point where we did like a Helm's Deep style thing, but we didn't use any miniatures. We didn't use any minis. It was all pen and paper and crosses and circles on a big map. And I think about that now, and it horrifies me. It's like, no, I would do every single one, and I would want to see my players get battered senseless. That's quite a cool. And you could do that historically as well. I guess you could have some sort of RPG. There are some historical RPGs with absolutely zero. Robin mentioned one, I think, where you're actually you're like in Nelson. If you're in the Navy under Nelson, and you've got the different positions in the ship to see. I said ship, not boat. To take, and I can't remember what it's called. It might be worth.
Roger the cabin boy. It's it's there used to be back in the day a lot of those play-by-mail kind of games that exactly that kind of stuff. I mean, I used to play tons of those. It's a fairly archaic system. You'd sort of play it and send it off in the post with a stamp on it, with a stamped address envelope, and wait for 2 weeks for the turn to come back again. It was very odd.
Heart of Oak, I think it's called. Old school says Heart of Oak. Right. Pendragon, that was another one. I found my Pendragon rulebook, took it to Dragon Meet and sold it for £85. Because it's so hard to get hold of. Just a couple other ones left, and then we'll take a quick look at some pictures. Historical doppelganger said yes, it was Basil Polderus is the name, and yes, and he did do the RoboCop theme. And also, I was so proud when Hayley realised she was watching Back to the Future, and then I was watching Predator, and she realised it was the same. It was Alan Silvestri who did the soundtrack to both, and they are essentially the same soundtrack. I would love to see the Predator turn up in the DeLorean.
Yes.
That would. Oh, that's another one. Maybe I should get Tessa to watch those. Back to the Future. That's they're fairly kid friendly. Can go to watch.
I only like one of the Back to the Future films.
Is it the third one?
The Wild West one.
Yeah.
Don't like the other two.
Yeah. Why can you not like Back to the Future?
I don't know. Just
what broke inside you, Steve? Who hurt you?
Have you seen what he drinks? I mean, come on. That's what broke inside him.
Oh dear. Right. Well, I really enjoyed that. That
was interesting.
That was just a good. It's a good laugh, and then we will be back. We're off for a week to recover from talking about fantasy, and to go away and do some serious reading. In those 2 weeks, Dom is going to read the Valor and Fortitude rulebook and give us his review next time. Steve is going to check out the Flintlock rules and possibly paint a Napoleonic orc, and I'm going to try and stick a face onto a Rohan. See how that goes. All that and more. But guys, thank you so much for chat. What we're going to do, we're going to have a look at some of the photos that have been posted up in the Facebook page. Now, as always, you can find links to the Facebook page down below, and you can also find links to our channels, and as Steve would say, all the other good stuff that you can get down there. Shill. Go down there. Follow, like, subscribe, all of that stuff, or don't. We just hope that you've had an entertaining time here with us. So let's get started and have a look at some of the photos that have been posted. Remember, if you can join the group, you can answer the questions free. And just as a note, where the question says, essentially, I agree not to be an arse and I'll be kicked out, writing possibly is not...
Essentially, there's not much wriggle room on that question.
Not really.
Yeah.
No.
So right, let's have a look. So Alid, I've noticed a lot of World War II stuff this week. So Alid, look at those.
They're cool.
Bloody hell, Alid. Jeez. Lovely.
Very nice.
Keeps going and going. Cracking stuff. Lovely. Dan as well. Look at them.
Oh, they're nice.
Oh,
I
they're
like those
nice.
as well. Aussies.
He said they're 20 mil.
Very nice.
Lovely. Really, really nice. Love the tones.
Yeah, really nice.
Really cool. Gary, there you go. Here's something for you, Dom.
Oh, nice. Oh, I like them.
I
mean, the wrong nation, obviously, but they're very nice.
Oh no, they are on separate. I thought it was all on one base for a minute, but no, they are really nice.
Chest pains.
Really nice brushwork. Now this one, I really like. I think it's going to upset Alex. Check these out.
Yes.
Now I can't. This is Andrew. Now hang on. I just need to remember the.
Trench Wars or whatever it is.
Hang on a second. It is. This is Andrew. Sorry, I should have had this. Should have had this saved for ease of. Where is it? This is. His first tank miniature since getting back into the hobby some years ago. So it's a Dague pocket tank, and it was a very nice print. It took me a good 2 weeks to finally make the choice in the color scheme, and then a week agonizing on whether to base or not to base. As per last week's show, thanks for all the input. The tank, as yet unnamed, is next to a squad of weird War One fellows, affectionately known as the Hell Badgers, which I originally made for Forbidden Psalm, the last war, but I'll also be using for Xenos Rampant. One tank down, 2 more to go.
Cracking.
Awesome
he asked for all that advice and then he still got it wrong. Come on. Come on.
James, we got him. Robin and I got him. So James is doing the Danish. So there are lovely stuff. Can I just say, cracking uniforms, lovely bases. And I know he says he's going to static grass them all in one go. And I think everyone kind of agrees about this sort of period. It's like all the joy of painting Napoleonics about the pain of the backpacks and the extra cross belts. So it's kind of like the things that sort of like slow you down a little bit, but really nice. I do like the flags. Are those the warfare flags, James? Are those the stuff?
Very nice.
I mean, fair. Someone did just say magnetize the base and the tank. That's, yeah, fair enough. Next up, we have. I had to share this. Ken Riley, another one of his creations. His boats, lovely, very, very nice. James was playing some black powder, which is always nice to see. I always enjoy seeing the games, which is very, very cool. He said he's playing black powder in a minute as he paints more, and then he's working his way up to Pickett's Charge.
Nice.
And you enjoy Pickett's Charge, don't you, Dom?
I do. I think it's a really good rule set. I like both for ACW. Very nice indeed. But yeah.
Neil, now I like these. He's done some Calais Garrison to abandon his Yorkists and go fight for Lancaster. Well, what I really like about the Calais Garrison actually is they're one of these units with a lot of flavour, and you can really, I mean, in the rules you can upgrade one unit to Calais Garrison, but obviously Trollope goes over to the Lancastrians, they fight for Lancastrians, but then Warwick becomes the captain of Calais again, or lieutenant of Calais, and they fall back under Warwick's control. Then they go under his nephew, the Bastard of Falkenberg. They help lay siege to London, and then they bugger off back to Calais. So there's loads of stuff you can do with them. That's why I did my Ruckus Force as deserters from them, because I thought they're essentially quite shitty as people. So yeah,
that's a nice,
really nice though.
Bunch though. I like that.
Yeah.
Really like they've even got a crossbow. Is that a crossbow? Man, there is a crossbow.
He's added some crossbows in, which I think really nice, especially if you think they've been fighting the French on the continent, and just gives them a bit of character. Like, you can these guys who have been garrisoned over there have nicked a crossbow or two, and they use them. Jeffrey has got a setup ready for a game now. I can't remember which game. This is Mad Dogs with Guns. So I think it's 1920s.
That is so cool.
Look at that setup. How cool is that? Lovely.
Wow.
Would love to hear about that as well. It's not a game I have not actually heard of.
No,
For
don't know that one at all.
that kind of thing. So really nice. Looking forward to seeing it. I love the water tower in the background.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Really cool. Mark, he accompanied this by saying the only thing worse than transfers is hand painting shields. Really nice though.
Yeah,
Look at the
they're
work
excellent.
he's doing on those. Lovely stuff.
Top
Looking
stuff.
forward to seeing those. Some bloke called Paul has done a passable job with this livery. I mean,
Well,
no, I don't know. I mean,
That is
I had to share. I had to
he
share
could
this.
try better, couldn't he? Could
This
do
is
better.
this is Lord Lovell. He's working on for diorama thing. He's doing. He's
Right,
posting up some
choice.
lovely progress pictures. I mean, that's absolutely stunning. Awesome stuff, Paul. Other Paul has been working on now. Which game are these for? This is for. Is this for the Boer War? Isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yes. Lovely.
Very nice.
It's nice and clean. I really like that.
Yeah, very good.
Lovely. Richard, this is their Battle of Pavia. There's some
nice
for you.
Oh,
Oh yes,
Really nice.
You can't
Very
beat
cool.
a pike, can you?
You
look at
can't.
those. I think even Ken.
You
would
can if you have
approve
a
of
gun.
those. Even Ken
Simon-
would approve of those blocks.
He would.
Oh, absolutely. Simon was working on the War Games Atlantic Renaissance
nice.
Cavalry.
Oh, they are
Look at
lovely, aren't
those.
they?
Really nice stuff. I
Oh,
have seen that set. I just can't work out what I would use them for.
Funny enough, I needed a third box when I was buying from War Games Atlantic, so I bought a box, and I'm doing exactly the same thing, thinking, I don't know how I'm going to use them, but they do look bloody lovely.
They do look nice. What am I going to do?
they're
How do I fit these in? Really nice. And finally, Stephen, it came from Mars. That is
is so
awesome. I
cool.
love the weathering. The weathering on that is
Yeah.
top. Right, I really like what you've done. Really nice.
That high or low fantasy?
That's realistic. That's just ultra realism, isn't it? No, some awesome stuff. Guys, thank you very much for spending your evening with us. Next week we are AWOL because essentially we all have other things to do. Not in a bad, not in a horrible way. We're just not around.
Just suddenly busy.
So there'll be no stream next week, but we'll be back on the 24th, where the evil gnome has appeared, and he's unglued all of our miniatures.
He's destroyed your favorite army. What would you do to put it back together again?
I mean, I feel like this is kind of pertinent to Ken because he does this every other year. So yeah, have a think. Steve will set it up, the thing in the Facebook page. It'd be really interesting to hear what other people have to say on this, what their favorite armies are. Do we have to? So we're going to pick one army and we're going to rebuild it. Yeah, essentially, is that right? Okay, Dom, you're going to have your work cut out for you.
One army?
Just one.
Can Dom just pick one period? Is that?
Yeah, let me have a period. Don't want one army, for goodness sake.
No, absolutely no. It's all good. Well, guys, thank you very, very much for taking the time to join us. Yeah, we will be back with you in 2 weeks' time.
A great couple of weeks.
Meantime, look after yourselves. See you later. Bye,
See you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.